Hi. For the last week, most of the messages I have received were concerning my father. As many of you know, my father was taken last Sunday to the hospital with coronavirus. Yeah, unbelievable. He's 87. He's always been in really good shape, always took very good care of himself, never drank, never smoked, very healthy life. He's a vegetarian. And that's why he's in such a good shape at such an age. But his body wasn't ready for this. First, it was his partner, Beatriz. She was rushed to the hospital. She had symptoms of coronavirus, and obviously she really couldn't take it. My father was taken there the following day. My father is the kind of person that he doesn't like to take medicines, antibiotics, drugs. He's always very natural and very healthy conscious. But his body wasn't ready for this. His body really wasn't ready for this. So I went to pick him up, keeping safe distance. I called an ambulance. The ambulance was there 30 minutes later, really quick. And we took his dog, Greta. Also, Penny. Penny is one of our cases. Many of you will remember her. She was rescued with a broken hip in a really, really bad shape. She was operated. And then nobody wanted to adopt her. So I thought, well, maybe she's going to be great company for my father. So I gave her to him. They bonded and they've been happy for the last year and a half. Actually, 2 years now. 2 years. So Greta stayed with me. She was taken to the Pink House, to one of our rescue centers, and it's not like a normal shelter. It's a really beautiful place, and here you can see her with one of her friends over there. So my father was taken to hospital. Immediately he was tested for coronavirus. He has a double bilateral pneumonia for coronavirus, and there is another issue. My father also had an encephalitis related to the virus. He's 87, and encephalitis is giving him a whole different type of symptoms. He's disoriented. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't understand he's sick. He constantly calls me and his other sons. None of us are there. None of us can be there. If we went to the hospital to see him, we will have to stay there. We wouldn't be able to get out. We will be placed in strict quarantine, and that's not possible. Plus, we will probably catch it. So, we are relying on calls from the doctors. I have to say that although I appreciate their work very much, they haven't really been so good at calling and keeping in touch. Today is Sunday. Last call I had from a doctor was last Wednesday. In the meantime, some of the nurses have taken upon themselves to send me WhatsApp videos and quick messages to tell me that he's fine. We've had a few FaceTime calls with the nurses, imagine, who show me images of my father. You can see here. It's really heartbreaking to see him like this. This is a very strong guy. This is a very vital guy. Don't forget that at 87, last year, he told me that he wanted to get married again. This is a guy that really craves life, and that he, makes the most of it. But to see him like this is just devastating. I'm always scared. I'm keeping my phone on at night, thinking that I'm gonna get a call from the hospital to tell me that my father has passed. Very difficult not to be able to be there. So the evolution has been towards the worst. He's always been in grave condition from the moment he arrived, but the evolution and the prognosis is really bad. Last Wednesday, last time I spoke to a doctor, they told me that they tried to be as nice as possible, but they told me not to keep very high hopes. Also, my father hasn't been put in a ventilator yet. He is holding on. He has an oxygen supply, but so far he hasn't been put in a ventilator. When I asked the doctor if she thinks that this may help at a certain moment, she said that she wouldn't do it for him. She said, if it was my father, I wouldn't do it, because there are risks and because the chances of survival are not that high. Well, again, so I explained her, look, if there is 1% chance, you're going to have to put him in a ventilator. I was very firm. I understand they are trying to juggle with low resources, and they think that it's better to treat the young than the older because they have higher chances of survival. But I'm obviously not the right person to argue about that, about chances of survival, when we have a rescue group that rescues dogs in extreme conditions. So what wouldn't I do for my father? So I told her, just don't try to convince me, and do whatever you have to do when the time comes. So conclusions that I'm getting. Well, first of all, I really want to thank you for your amazing support, your emails, and I have friends that are just popping out of everywhere now. Florida, New York. Was just talking to John a few minutes ago. He has organized for Reiki to be sent to my father. Personally, I don't believe in it, but I know my father believes in Reiki. So I told John, and he's organized for some Reiki to be sent. I've also received great emails of people telling me of possible solutions, possible drug protocols to be used. Most of them very interesting, and I really want to thank you for the effort that you guys have made, and for thinking about me and my father. It's really moving. I feel that my father is privileged to live in Spain. He lives in a place where in here we have a universal healthcare, and I know that's a very hot topic issue with some countries, the States. But I really hope that this massive pandemic is going to convince some people and some governments that universal healthcare is a human right. It's the right thing to do. My father went into one of the best hospitals in the country, not having to worry about having to pay for the treatment. He's 87 years old. I was just reading an article yesterday that there are cases in New York where someone's last words were, who's going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for this? My father is receiving world-class care without having to worry about that. And that's a very basic concept, and it should be very easy for people to understand. And if someone doesn't understand it, it's because right until now was never in such a position. I think this is a game changer. Changes everything. The systems in governments are going to have to adapt. And if they don't, well, you see what happens. I also want to thank the healthcare professionals for their extraordinary work and sacrifices. Whereas we are scared of even approaching the hospital, these people are going there every day, sometimes with very limited equipment, protection, but that's a whole different issue. I mean, why our government wasn't ready, and why we didn't have the right supply for masks and gloves and all of this. But anyway, they are all doing their best. So I really want to thank the doctors, even if they haven't been so good at communication, and the nurses. The nurses are amazing. These people are extraordinary. Just to give you an anecdote, when my father arrived, he asked if he could have some headphones because he had forgotten his in the house, and he wanted to listen to the news, and he wanted to be connected to the phone. So one of the nurses went home, and he brought his own headphones and offered them to my father. Now, just think about it. This is it's a small act of generosity, but it says so much about that person. His name is Carlos. I haven't met him. I don't even know how he looks, but I really hope that one day I'll meet him, because for that, that act was so moving. I think this pandemic is bringing out the best and the worst of all of us. And I think the best outweighs the worst, definitely. I see so many displays of generosity and care every day, everywhere. It's just really, really moving. Another conclusion that I get from being in this position is that I see many people criticizing their governments, but I think that the vast majority of governments in developed countries have been trying to do their best. They were not prepared. They didn't know how to handle situations, but I think the majority of them have tried to do and take measures for the good of their people. There are, of course, some exceptions. Brazil, one of them. These people have the worst president in history, and he's been in denial, and I think he continues denying it. I mean, the whole country was completely unprepared for this, and I really pray for them. I don't believe, but I really feel sorry for the people of Brazil and for every other emerging economy. India, Pakistan, my God, Bangladesh, think about it, Thailand, Indonesia. I really wonder how these countries are going to do. Africa. I read on a statistic the other day. In Europe, we have 1,000 beds for intensive care for every million people. 1,000. In Africa, they have 5 beds for every million people. So that just gives you an idea. It's just horrible. So I really don't understand when those people that are criticizing their governments so much for their responses. What happened to my father is not the responsibility of the government. My father was warned, told every day for a month and a half not to go out, to isolate, to stay alone, to stay with his partner, don't go to the streets, order online, get someone to bring your food. He refused to do it. Why should I stay home? I haven't done anything bad. I'm free. I've never had to follow these orders. One of those people. They value their independence and their freedom over everything else, including their health or the health of the others. So in this respect, I'm actually a bit disappointed at him, but I understand. He just couldn't understand exactly what was happening. So what happened to my father was not the fault of the government. Nothing that the government said or did could have changed his mind. And actually, speaking to doctors, they tell me that the majority of elderly people that are coming to the hospitals is because they haven't respected the quarantine. They refuse to. They say things like, I survived a war, this thing is not gonna get me. They are very strong-headed, headstrong people, and sometimes it's difficult to make elderly people understand some things. They're stuck in their ways. So just wanted to give a quick update on my dad. His condition is grave. I know we could lose him any minute. My phone is on all through the night, expecting a call from the hospital. My father has called me several times in the middle of the night, 4 or 5 in the morning, totally incoherent, making noises that I cannot understand. But at least I know he's there and he's trying to reach out. It's heartbreaking, but these are the times that we are living in. So once again, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for the amazing demonstrations of love and concern towards me and my father. I know many of you are praying for him, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. And that's it, all I can say. Thank you very much, and tomorrow we'll have another dog video or a cat video or something to keep this channel alive. Okay, in the meantime, although today's video was about my father, don't forget that this is an animal rescue charity. If any of you would like to donate towards the care of our animals, the ones that are at the hospital, the ones that we have in the homes, you can do that in the PayPal link below. Okay, guys, thanks a lot, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.